A few weeks ago, we had a segment where we discussed our top 10 favorite video games. Many people enjoyed the segment, but Babylon Bee user Liberty Lover described the segment as boring, sad, and not good.
Sad.
She requested something more high class, and we always want to make our subscribers happy, so today we present
The Babylon Bee's top 5 film adaptations of Jane Austen's classic novel, Pride and Prejudice.
Number 5, Pride and Prejudice. This is the 1940 version with Greer Garson and Laurence Olivier. It's like a odd alternate dimension of Pride and Prejudice. The time-displaced setting and the Hollywood glamorization of it all feels too clean and produced to really serve the original story in the manner it was written. Additionally, I understand it's difficult to fit all that is Pride and Prejudice within a 2-hour movie, but some of the plot-quickening devices are quite odd and don't always seem to fit with the characters that set them in motion. It has its unique charm, but at the end of the day, it's not handsome enough to tempt me to give it a higher rating. What do you think, Kyle? What's your pick?
Yeah, same.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah. So that's good. That was really good.
Number 4, Pride and Prejudice, the 1980 BBC miniseries. While moderately expositional and produced in such a manner as to always keep the viewer behind a fingerprint-stained fourth wall, as it's rare for any setting to seem to have any life beyond that of a studio set, what this version does well is provide breathing room for the characters to grow and maintains a certain respect for the material that other adaptations don't even maintain to have the pretense of keeping. While a majority of the cast does a decent job with their respective roles, dare I declare that the dead-eyed Darcy displayed a determinedly dispassionate disposition. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, Pride and Prejudice 1980 BBC miniseries for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, Pride and Prejudice. This is the 2003 film adaptation. Now, I know. This is going to be my most controversial pick, and it's destined to draw ire. This low-budget, quirky modern adaptation is set in latter days than the rest, and aptly bears the subtitle of a latter-day comedy. As one might expect, this version takes many liberties, only using Austen's work as a basic framework, but it manages to be fun, lighthearted, and, it understands and accepts what it is while sprinkling goofy one-liners along the way. The soundtrack is pretty bad, and some of the acting is lackluster, but there are a few delightful performances, including Collins, and a very brief cameo by Napoleon Dynamite director Jared Hess. Hess's ad-libbed lines, as seen in the DVD outtakes, shall forever be imprinted in my brain. Thoughts?
That's good, yeah. I agree.
Okay.
I concur.
Moving on, number 2 on my list, Pride and Prejudice, the 2005 motion picture. Again, it's nigh impossible to effectively tell the story within the course of 2 hours, but there are still a few aspects in which this rendition accomplished exceedingly well. Without any near competition, the 2005 film wipes the floor in the cinematography department. The naturalistic lighting, the balanced composition, the use of color and contrast far exceeds any other Pride and Prejudice. Plus, they employ the underutilized camera zoom, which I find delightful. Additionally, the musical score arguably provides the best Pride and Prejudice soundtrack in history. Matthew McFadden makes a decent Darcy, a compliment I perceive to be greater than his forehead length, but Donald Sutherland as Mr. Bennet adds a layer of humanity never seen before. And what he may lack in sharp witticisms, he makes up for in heart. Judi Dench does a fine job as Lady Catherine de Bourgh, but it saddens me that to this day we may never see Maggie Smith in the role. Rosamund Pike is always delight on screen, but that's where my praise of the casting ends, for there is an indelible mark upon the cast. And that mark goes by the name of Keira Knightley. If I had £1 for every time Knightley laughed raucously without a semblance of propriety, I would make over $10,000 a year. Her various chortles are peppered unceremoniously throughout the establishing moments of the film, defying logic, reason, and most irritably, defying the collected and generally controlled nature of Elizabeth Bennet. If one were to walk into the room like Kyle is right now, in the opening scenes, they might assume Knightley was playing the role of Lydia. Lydia. Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that the Elizabeth of the page once declares that she dearly loves a laugh, but I hardly think that justifies incessantly cackling like a deranged mental institution escapee. Knightley is the Patrick Green of Austendom, and her laughter is truly the punishment Darcy deserved for such a speech. Am I right?
So right. So right.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our list. the number one spot, drumroll please, goes to Pride and Prejudice. It is a truth universally acknowledged that the 1995 BBC version is the best and will always be the best. Much like the top 10 video games inevitable Ocarina of Time pick, there was never any choice in the matter but to bestow the number one spot to the 1995 miniseries. The subtle yet unmistakable nuances of Jennifer Ely's performance, the comedic timing and mannerisms of Mr. Collins, and Colin Firth dove into the depths of the role of Darcy both figuratively and literally. Is it odd that the BBC produced another version only 15 years after the 1980 version? Maybe, but I'm grateful that they decided to do so, and when they did, as far as I'm concerned, the 15-year-old version could figuratively be whisked away by a metaphorical George Wickham.
Horrible to like the arrow attacks.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Dishonorable mentions: Bride and Prejudice, Bridget Jones's Diary, and Pride and Prejudice Atlanta. Dishonorable mentions. Kyle, what's your pick?
Oh, my number one is going to be Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
This has been the Babylon Bee's top 5 film adaptations of Jane Austen's classic novel, Pride and Prejudice.
Are you a purveyor of fine goods and a patron of quality entertainment? If so, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to support the fine institution known as the Babylon Bear. And if you don't subscribe, you must be one of those unfortunates who can't even afford an in-house sommelier. Speaking of which, Reginald, bring the 1906 Solemn Qu'est-ce que tu cherches?